Here we are again, welcome to Thrill Mojo with another bangin' virtual reality list video. Look, in the past I've covered the best VR games of all time, the worst VR games of all time, and what seems like everything in between. But you know what I have not made a video on yet? The best of the Quest in 2021. And yeah, that includes the Quest 2 of course, so here it is. This is my personal top 10 Quest and Quest 2 games available right now either on the official store or in the App Lab. And I'm doing this list a little different than normal. I purposely left out the no-brainers like Beat Saber and Rec Room and VRChat. I think we all know about those and they're on every single list video ever, and they're just taking up room that could be filled up with a more obscure title. So the must-buys that we all know about will be at the end of the video as well as an honorable mentions list. And if your favorite games aren't included in this video, then let me know down in the comments below. But I think it's time we start with number 10. The newest game on this list, in fact, it released not even a month ago. It's The Climb 2, only for the biggest thrill seekers among VR users. See what I did there? But no, really. The Climb 2 is Crytek's sequel to a beloved VR classic, The Climb, just this time around, the stakes are higher, the mountains taller, and the set pieces way bigger. The point of this game is to, well, climb, but there's a lot more to it. If you want an experience that will make your heart pound and blood rush, but also have points in the experience where you're taken back by the immense beauty of your surroundings, then The Climb 2 might just be for you. New this time around, you get to climb around skyscrapers as well as huge mountains and canyons, and I'll warn you, the climbing path isn't always what it seems, and your virtual self will almost always be in danger. But back to reality, The Climb 2 is one of the best looking games on the Quest 2 as well. And while it's definitely not perfect, there will be moments where you peek into a valley and your jaw will drop, at least mine did. The biggest downside to The Climb 2 and the reasons why it's number 10 is, well, graphics and beautiful set pieces don't make a whole game. And unfortunately, the only multiplayer available here is in the form of a leaderboard. And the actual missions are really the only thing to play, albeit they are really good. All I really want is a free climb mode with a couple of friends, but maybe in the future. Number 9. This is the only rhythm game on this list, I promise, and this one deserves it. Pistol Whip. Now, Pistol Whip was a good, fast-paced, make you feel like a badass kind of rhythm game, and to me, it's kind of an everything done right in a simple package kind of game, but then it got even better with a full story mode and cinematic campaign in Pistol Whip 2089. Even if shooting or rhythm games aren't your thing, I'd give Pistol Whip a go. It's a heart-pumping, bass-grinding adventure on rails that'll have you feeling like John Wick. Of course, it's still not perfect, and more definitely could be added to provide more variety, but as of now, it makes the top 10, especially with the 2089 update. But now, onto number 8, and it's Myst.
I could see that the future was open.
So I actually grew up playing Myst and I love the series, but recently a Myst sort of reboot has been released for VR, and it's fantastic whether you have played Myst before or not. In case you don't know, Myst is a puzzle adventure game where, well, you complete puzzles to advance in the adventure, and honestly, I couldn't think of a flat screen classic that works better in VR than Myst. Tons of really engaging puzzles in the environment, beautiful surroundings, and super immersive soundscapes. Look, the flat screen Myst had me glued to a monitor because I felt so immersed. This VR adaptation of Myst, however, is on a whole new level. I think I've said this before, but I'm actually not a big fan of puzzle games or escape room style games. And Myst has historically been one of the only exceptions to that rule, and Myst on the Quest 2 has become one of the most immersive titles you can buy for VR in general. So even if you're not a huge puzzle game fan, which I understand, I urge you to give it a shot. You may be surprised as the hours get whisked away, and you become immersed in the ages of Myst. Now for number 7, Gorn. Look, I love Gorn. It's probably one of my favorite close quarter combat based games ever made for VR, and it's just gotten better and better with more updates. I have legit broken touch controllers, kicked holes in walls, and nearly broke a fan because of this game, but goddamn it, was it worth it. There's not much of a storyline, there's zero multiplayer, and shoot, there really aren't many polygons either. It's not exactly a pretty game, but Gorn is just a blast. It's a fun game. It's you and a super wacky wide range of weapons against a bunch of enemies that you can literally dismember any way that you want. And the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not a psychopath is the fact that everything is cel shaded and super stylized, which is probably good for my sanity. Apart from just the normal bipedal humanoid enemies, there's a bunch of boss fights like a giant crab that require a specific approach to win, challenges, trials, tons of weapons. Look, if you're just looking for some fun or a way to kill some stress, Gorn is and has been one of my go-tos pretty much since it released a few years ago on PC VR, but here it is, it's on the Quest, so gobble it up and enjoy it. It's a good game and it's worth every penny and every hour. Number 6. So, not gonna lie, I might offend some people, but I don't care at all for the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park IP. I don't know, it's just never interested me. The movies are pretty good, but my interest just about ends there, which should speak volumes about number 6 on this list, Jurassic World Aftermath. Like I said, I don't really care about Jurassic Park, but I loaded up Aftermath and holy smokes, in terms of immersive, suspenseful, and engaging VR games, Jurassic World Aftermath is actually one of the best VR experiences I have played in all of 2021. The art style is simple but elegant and stylized in a way that just works well with the environment and current VR tech. Put simply, you're on a survival adventure to figure out what happened to Jurassic World, all while being chased by velociraptors. This game had me on my hands and knees, hiding from dinosaurs, rolling, yelling. I was definitely blown away by the quality of the experience, and something kind of interesting is that the story isn't done yet. Similar to Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, the story is set to continue later this year in 2021. So I'll be looking forward to it, which me looking forward to a Jurassic Park game is not something I thought I'd ever say, but it really is something special, and it taught me a valuable lesson about judging a book by its cover, because if I had never picked up Aftermath just because of the IP, I would have been seriously missing out on one of the most immersive experiences of VR for the year. Big time recommend. Number 5. Finally, we get into some multiplayer experiences, and number 5 here is Onward. So you may already know Onward. It's a first-person multiplayer shooter that is closer to a tactical milsim style game than a typical run-and-gun arena shooter. This is a competitive shooter for the hardcore community. There's no mini-maps or power weapon pickups. It's all teamwork and communication, bringing VR gameplay together with the unique advantages of social VR as well. If a hardcore milsim is your style, then so is Onward more than likely. The game has proven to have very active developers, and it gets updated pretty often and has a very healthy player base, which, as I'm sure you know, is extremely important for a multiplayer-only VR game. While personally I'm not the biggest fan of realistic milsims, I have to give credit to Onward where it's due. It's a fun, consistent shooter with a lively player base, and it's worth a shot. But now it's time for a shooter that's a little more my pace, and that's where number 4 comes in, Contractors. Yeah, it's technically a milsim style game like Onward, but the pace is usually a little faster, and it's a little closer to something like Call of Duty in VR if Onward were compared to Arma. I personally think that Contractors is one of the best multi-platform VR shooters at the moment if you do want a semi-realistic run-and-gun style. Plus, the player base is actually really strong, and it feels like it's growing every day. Pretty much as of now, if I'm not playing Pavlov on my PC, then I'm playing Contractors or Pop 1 on the Quest 2. It's really good, there are plenty of people to play with, and there are lots of game modes to enjoy. Now for number 3, Lies Beneath. This is easily one of my favorite games for the Quest. It ticks all of the boxes for me to have an enjoyable VR experience. It's fun, looks good, has a great story, and the VR interactions are plentiful and engaging. I'm actually not too much of a fan of horror games, kind of not at all. I mean, cheap jump scares and overdone gore just isn't entertaining to me. And even though Lies Beneath technically is a horror game, you can expect a lot more than just cheap scares. First, the art style is perfect for both atmosphere and performance. You're in a horror manga, essentially, which is what the game is based off of, a horror manga. Something terrible happens to you and an Alaskan town, and you're trying to save your father as well as your own mind while creepy creatures infect the townspeople. That's a super simple explanation to a really good plot that I don't want to spoil. The question you'll really be asking yourself more is what's real and what's a hallucination. If you're into a cerebral comic book style story that goes deep, has engaging combat, and has some horror elements, Lies Beneath easily takes the cake on almost any Quest top 10 list that I'll make. And number 2, Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. This is another game like Jurassic World, where I don't really care for the Walking Dead IP. Been there and done that years ago yelling for Carl. But this VR game, if you haven't played it, is hands down one of the best VR games ever made to this date, no questions asked. I can say that with a straight face and absolutely mean it. And the fact that this game is this big and detailed and it's playable on the Quest is kind of mind-boggling, because the game world is huge, very detailed, and the gameplay loop is super satisfying whether you're gathering materials, shooting zombies, or running away from them, or using whatever you can find around you to impale them. This is the kind of game where VR shines as a platform. You are truly a member of the Walking Dead world the second you put a headset on. There's an engaging story and even more engaging gameplay. But that's also where this game gets kind of crazy as well. The developers Skydance Interactive could have just released the game and been done, but post-launch content has been flowing for Saints and Sinners, and the game legit just keeps getting better and better, with the most recent update bringing a horde trial mode to the game. Seriously, it's kind of a must-have in my opinion, and it almost made the must-have no-brainer list, but I figured it deserves a spot here. The graphics are good, the gameplay is great, the story is intriguing, and the environments are believable and memorable. Solid recommendation. Number 1. Population 1. This game almost single-handedly is kind of the reason I pick up my Quest 2 all the time to play. It's consistently 4 Pop 1. I love the freedom of playing wirelessly, the graphics really aren't that much different from PC to Quest, and that's that. In case you don't know what Population 1 is, it's a multiplayer battle royale akin to Apex Legends or Fortnite on the flat screen side. But in VR, of course, and in some ways done better. There's building, a variety of weapons to find on the map, shield sodas, bananas, you can climb, fly. It's really turned into one of my absolute favorite VR games of all time for sure. One of the best competitive VR games, and it's one of the first competitive VR games that I take seriously as well. The gameplay, while I know it's not for everyone, is smooth, easy to learn, but difficult to master. Rewards aggressive play, and well, for the first time, a VR battle royale has enough players to fill lobbies consistently. You'll always be able to find a match, which is something you can't always take for granted in a VR game. Some games are just so dead population-wise that you'll think that the population is one, making those games difficult if not impossible to play. But that's not the case here for Pop 1. Plus, the game gets so many updates, it feels like every few weeks there's new content or skins or events going on. All in all, this is the game that has made me use my Quest 2 more than anything else. It's my favorite right now, and it'll probably stay that way throughout most of 2021. And as promised, here's my list of must-buys or must-downloads. A lot of these are totally free, and you can get sucked in for days on any one of them. They're just must-haves that you have to download. And for honorable mentions, Hyperdash has emerged as a multiplayer game with incredible promise, and it's one that I'm keeping my eyes on closely. Seems like the closest thing to Overwatch in VR on the Quest at the moment. Red Matter, incredible atmosphere, great graphics, good storyline, but some dated mechanics though. Still a good buy if you ask me. Star Wars Vader Immortal series, one of my favorites. Yeah, it doesn't last for long, but the quality is high enough that I'm okay with 2.5 hours of campaign and the lightsaber dojo for around $30. And there's my list. There's my must-buys and my honorable mentions. If you have anything to add, then leave me a comment down below and tell me how much I should try it. Also, join up in my Discord server. We have VR meetups and giveaways all the time. It's just a great place to be. I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas. I couldn't do any of this without you. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.